aka the finance pastor. I hope everybody's doing great on this Wednesday afternoon. What a week in the market. It has been topsy turvy. In news that has been coming out last night, there was reports that President Trump wanted to fire Fed Chair Jerome Powell, but a lot of the reports today, President Trump himself saying that he's not likely to fire Jerome Powell, really making a big change in the swing in the stock market. Today was a little bit negative in the morning, but the markets have rebounded and turned around into the positive on the outlook. Now, many people believe that if the Fed if the Federal Reserve cuts their rates, that it would tremendously help the economy. I am one of those people who believes that. But also you have to see is that a lot of this is not going to happen overnight. If Jerome Powell refuses to drop the interest rates, you're going to have to wait for about 8 or 9 more months until his term is over for the next person to come in. Now, I'm in the belief that he will lower rates maybe later on this year or perhaps early next year. Now, it's yet to be seen, but I believe that even though this would help the economy greatly. What I am seeing is that a lot of the movement in the stock market really is not going to be affected. What do you mean? Well, the stock market is still going to go up. I would not be shorting this stock market at this time. Just everything that's coming in the news in the horizon, what's happening with the deals that are happening with many multinational companies here. You got AMD, Nvidia, Tesla, the list goes on, Palantir. So many of the Mag 7 and many other companies are doing international deals, and what you're seeing is a repatriation, I guess, probably the word I'm looking for, or a redistribution of wealth. There's going to be wealth coming back to the United States in the form of investments. If I were you, I will consider buying stocks and loading up, even if you're buying little by little, even if it's a couple of shares every week or every bi-weekly when you get paid. Now is the time to start padding up your portfolio. If you have money on the sidelines, if you have money just waiting to be deployed, I would consider the stock market. Now, for some people, they don't know what to invest in. I would look into ETFs. The top one for me is going to be SPY, QQQ, the VOO. Those are three of the top ETFs in my opinion. There are many more. There are a lot of good ones, but those are ones if you just want to look at following the market, whether it's the Nasdaq or the S&P 500, I would consider those. Those are stocks that I'll be looking at. Now, a lot of people they ask me, well, what should I invest in? And I always tell people you should invest in what you love. Consider this. Look at the car you drive, what products you enjoy, what's in your home. If you're married, where do you and your spouse go to eat? Where do you shop? You start looking at, you can list names of companies just off the top of your head from Costco, Walmart, Rivian, Tesla, Ford, GM, Coca Cola, Pepsi, Home Depot, Lowe's. And you start seeing all these little companies that where you go already and spend your money, you should be investing in those stocks too, especially if they're dividend yield type of stocks, which it maximizes your portfolio. Now, there's a story in the Bible that I really love, which is the parable of the talents. Many people have heard those. Now, one of the things that I loved is that it doesn't tell you what they invested in, but it does tell you that they were giving according to their knowledge or according to their ability. So you have one that received 5 talents, you had another that received two, and you had another that received one, which is the key indicator. This is that the people who received the talents, it wasn't even their money. It was someone else's money. To me, it's just like using borrowed money. And it's a ROI, especially for real estate investors. You understand this. I'm borrowing money and I'm doubling my money. I've done that plenty in real estate. So you look at that and you look at how they take their talents, and the scriptures talks about like the one that was given 5 doubled it. The scripture also says that the one that was given 2 talents doubled it also. Now the one that received 1 talent was so scared that he buried his talent. And what the master says is so key and pivotal in this passage here, which is even if you would have put it in the bank to collect interest, and I'm paraphrasing, you would have made money. So consider this. If you have money that's just sitting in an account, you're better off deploying it into a high yield savings account. Or if you want to supersize your account, meaning if you want to take 100 grand and then 100,000 and just say in 3 to 5 years and 6 to 7 years, can this turn into 500,000, 750? Then you look at stocks that are going to perform that way. That's why I look at Nvidia, AMD, Tesla, Ford, GM, Stellantis, so many lists of companies from Costco, Netflix, on and on and on and on. We could keep mentioning stocks, but it would behoove you to start investing in those type of stocks. You need a 1 to 3 year plan. You need a 1 to 5 year plan. I love trading more like a swing trader or more of a position trader. I started out as a day trader. I'm okay with it, but it wasn't my favorite. I like more just being in the stock. I love holding stocks. And my current position that I have holdings in my stock portfolio is Tesla, Nvidia, Palantir, QQQ, Coca-Cola, Ford, and I got something else. What I got? I think it's an AMD that I added to that my portfolio. In addition to that, I also have crypto. So I'm in Bitcoin. I wish I had more like everyone else, but I'm in Bitcoin. I'm in Ethereum. I'm also in Litecoin, and I'm also in XRP, XLM, Cardano, HBAR, and I'm in something else. So I think I have some Dogecoin there. So those are like what I have currently in my portfolio. It will shift, especially we're looking at where this bill that might be passed this week or brought into the president's desk about the stable coin. It is a very important. That's why you've seen the run in crypto. I have seen my crypto account just grow by 25% just in the last 5 days, which is staggering. You always say to yourself, I wish I had more. I wish I had more. But you never go broke making a profit. And I love that. So crypto to me is the future. I am staying in a lot of those. I'm not cashing out. I do believe that Bitcoin could go to 1 million. I'm also to the fact that XRP could go to 10,000. So I'm loading up on that. H bar. I look at Cardano. I look at XLM. I look at coins like that, altcoins, and just looking at which ones could have the potential to probably be the next Bitcoin. But right now, Bitcoin is the big dog. And you have to look at legislation when you have a president that's pro crypto. You have congressmen and women who are really pro crypto. And what I loved is that the crypto phase or the crypto craze that's happening right now is actually bipartisan, where you have a lot of Democrats and a lot of Republicans in this fight together. And I think that we need to really consider that digital currency is the future. Now, as a Christian believer, as someone who believes in what the word of God says, I also look at what scripture says. And you start looking at that in Revelation, we will go into a one world system. We will go into that. That's prophesied. That's the thing that I look forward to. So to me is I'm not of the point of Jesus. Should Jesus tarry? I'm not saying come now, but I'm also looking at that. Jesus is saying to us, if you're in the earth, occupy. So I always look at what scripture says. I'm not saying that crypto is going to be the what's going to lead us into the one world system, but it's going to be a big component of it. And it behooves you as an investor to position yourself in those type of investments. Consider if Visa, MasterCard, and American Express were public in the 1980s and 90s. You can buy all those stock, but it wasn't. It wasn't until 2006, 2007 that those companies went public. Consider this: crypto's already out there. You're buying them for pennies on the dollar, pennies on the dollar right now. So that's where I look at crypto as the future. I just don't put my whole portfolio in it. You still have to use prudence. You put some money that you're willing to risk, and this is a good risk in my opinion. And then you take a chance like everything in the market. You have to look at what the government is doing, what they're saying, and also the reactions of the market. Crypto to me is going to be the future. Could it replace the dollar? I don't know. That's what I wonder. Is the dollar going to be replaced? And I believe it will, because of so much printing of money that we've done. Now, would it be able to pay back the debt that's owed? That's another thing that will be for discussion for many people here. But I want to take a look at a few stocks here. I was going to share my screen. All right, let's do here. Let's go look at the S&P 500. Let's do a 1 year. So we start seeing like what the S&P is doing. I'm gonna do the full chart here, that way you guys can see it. So we start seeing what the S&P is doing. We had this V shape that I've been talking about for the last few weeks. To me, this it's already above this mark right here. So to me, the S&P is creating a new form of a stair step to the upside. I'm loving this form. You are nuts to be shorting this market. Nuts to be shorting this market. Can you make money on the short term on the downside? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Would I go all out and shorting the market? Not really. I wouldn't bet against Trump. Nope. Won't bet against them. So we look at S&P actually turning positive 11 points right now, midday. Nasdaq, still a little negative, but you have it's only 2 points. I would concede that turning positive. Dow Jones up 136, doing really well today. Dow Jones, even though it's been beaten up a little bit, but it's been following the V shape right here. You can see that. The VIX up a little bit, not much volatility. There was a lot of volume earlier last week and in early July, excuse me, June. But like everything's kind of settling down and just following this calm feeling right over here. Following that, let's look at some stocks. Apple up $1.62 today, 0.77%. Netflix, another one that I love, and I've been very bullish on this stock for since last year. Man, what a run it has had. It is just keeps dominating here. So I still continue to believe that Netflix is priced well. Could it go higher? The answer is absolutely yes. Wait till what happens in next year in the horizon. Once they start doing more live sports venues here, and which I love, especially if they get the hook up with the UFC. Oil, gold, and silver down. Well, actually up. What a run gold has had. Silver hasn't seen these prices since probably 2009 to 2010. I was a heavy buyer of silver during the 2008, 9, and 10, and it went almost up to $50. Then it just took a nosedive all the way down. And even though this is a metal that's used in a lot of computer components, it is to me undervalued. For a store of value, it should be about 10% to what gold is, and it is like 1% right now. So I've always been in the opinion that silver was undervalued, but the thing is, I've been saying the same thing for about 15 years, and I haven't really seen silver take off. So I usually have just a silver for a rainy day. If something were to happen, I have something to fall back on. Q's, which I'm in the Q's right now. I'm in an option. Q's doing well. Glad it's going positive, so that keeps my performance keep going. Jets right here. This is the ETF that I really like. You have to see what happens tonight after the bell closes when United Airlines reports. If United Airlines reports something positive, which I believe it will, expect this stock to go up. If you like traveling industry, this is a good stock to look at. Royal Caribbean, again, a darling stock. earnings report, is it today? Earnings Tuesday the 29th. They reported yesterday. Oh, I'm sorry, that is the 29th. So we still got a couple of days. So this is another stock that I'm bullish on. Nvidia, again, I'm bullish on Nvidia. I've been adding to my positions here. Another thing is, I wish I had more, but I've been adding to my position once it goes down. This one here is, to me, people who've been trading Tesla and don't like what's going on have moved all their money to Nvidia, in my opinion. Amazon doing very well, just down a little bit today, but again, the stock market doesn't always go straight up. AMD, AMD has really almost just, it's really broken out of that pattern and it is into the positive side. This is where I'm looking to buy. Right now is still in a buy position. To me, AMD is in a buy position right here. If it stays above this 155, we could go back up to 224. So this is one that I'm gonna keep adding to my position here. I like AMD. Ford. Ford is just steady Eddie. Now, Ford is one of those companies that's not a big, huge mover. But what I love about Ford is this: I'm able to write covered calls. So I do covered calls on Ford, and it's not a huge money maker. I make about 1.3% a month on covered calls. You add that up, it's almost a little under 15% in a year. Plus, if you look at the dividends, which add another 5% around that range in a year, you start seeing that even with stocks that don't move, you can actually make some money, almost like a rental. Think of it as you renting it out as a piece of property. It's like, Ford to me is like, for the real estate investor, it's in a working class neighborhood, and all you're doing is you're renting it and you're just making cash flow from it. So Ford is one of those stocks that, I'm currently in the August 13 covered call. So you're not making huge amounts of money, but like I'm saying, it's like 1.3%, 1.4% in a month. You do that over time. You start playing the long-term game, you start seeing that how much you can purchase from this, because from the profits that I do from this, I buy more shares. That's my game plan. I buy more shares with the profits that I make from it. So you look at, you can buy like several shares every quarter from the profits that you have made from these stocks. And that's what I love about like a stock like Ford, not a huge mover, but you can still make money from it if you're patient and you're not trying to hit home runs. This is basically hitting a lot of singles. SPY, again, up 1 point, a point here. So I guess it's following the S&P 500. Meta down, but to me, Meta's just had a nice little run up. I am looking that if it falls back down here, that 684 range, that 690. If it falls back and it just hovers there, I'm looking to add even option trading on this one, because I think it could go up to 1,000. Now it's not going to be an overnight move, and I'll say this again, to me, the sleeper in the AI movement is going to be Mark Zuckerberg. He's going to be the sleeper that nobody's going to be thinking that he's going to take over. He's got a great vision for what's next. He's always got that he always in the right place at the right time. Again, here spiders, another one here, the diamonds 440 just keeps following this trend. And I know a lot of people who love trend trading, and I know I learned how to trend trade when I first started 18 years ago. And this is a one that's just following, is just beat off the line. If the stock market retraces, I'm looking to see if it does. I would look at this stock to add in my portfolio. I had it at one time, but it was just a slow mover. Russell 2000, again, those of you who trade credit spreads, the Russell 2000 has been very predictable. If you see lower interest rates, this is one of the stocks that will take off because 40% of the companies here on this small cap companies here in the Russell 2000 really they stay alive by the money that they can borrow. So it's kind of one of those deals here. Tesla, all right, you on a run now? I'm in an option and I'm in stocks here. So just kind of looking at that one, $9 run today. Palantir, another one that it's just taken off. The more you hear people buying weapons from other countries, the more you're going to start seeing Palantir really drive that space along with Northrop Grumman, Boeing, Raytheon, and so many other companies in that same space. Coca-Cola is in my portfolio. It's a little down right now. 69 bucks, but like I said, it's a dividend stock for me. So one of those things. So we start to see what's going to happen next in the stock market. We never do know. But one of the things that we know is that we can position ourselves to prosper. That's what I love about the stock market. If you have a long term, this is, and I'll repeat that again, you need to have a long term play. You'll do very, very, very well in the stock market. So let's look at some headline news. I'm going to refresh this. Again, Trump denies that he plans to fire Powell. Highly unlikely. You start seeing that just, the market, after that news came out, the market shifted to the positive. Netflix earnings are coming Thursday. What top analysts express. I mean, I really do believe on that Netflix is just a top company. And Jensen Huang sells another 37 million worth of stocks. Hey, bro, you've done well. You can do that. That doesn't scare me. He's probably just cashing out some stuff. So this is what I do love. There was a little, I believe it was, he had a little press conference today, but he was talking about he wants to sell more chips to China. One of the things is that Jensen Huang is a businessman. To me, is what he's saying is correct. What he's looking at is that Nvidia is a company who's adaptable, whether it's tariffs, taxes, or whatever government officials want. So I really believe that he's going to do well. So is the stock, and that's why I'm bullish more on Nvidia. I moved some of my money from Tesla into Nvidia, just because just to me is the more stable one. And Elon Musk is just, I love the dude. I still own stock, but it's been tough loving you, my dude. Been tough loving you. What else? Unlikely. But like we just experiencing what's gonna happen for the rest of the week here. I really believe that market is driven, it's priced in to what's happening in Congress. Expect the stable coin passage, if that's even passed or brought into the table, it's just gonna keep the run for cryptocurrency just going bullish. And like I said earlier, you need to purchase cryptocurrency in addition to stock. This is probably going to be one of the best times you can invest in the stock market. Consider this. I'm going to take me off my screen here. You should be investing in cryptocurrency in the stock market right now. Consider this. Stocks, cryptocurrency are exactly where real estate was in 2008, 9, 10. What do you mean? Yes, I know stocks are high, but I also believe that they're going to go even higher because of the confidence that there is in the United States. I believe that you should be buying as much as you can and stop buying dumb stuff and just put your money into the stock market and watch your gains and watch the growth and watch how much income is going to bring to your family, whether you're doing more for retirement or leaving a legacy, or you're just trying to do it as a side hustle. The stock market is a viable tool. And if you're not participating in the stock market right now, you're going to regret it. Just like many people who didn't buy properties in 09, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. They were upset because the same deals that they were finding in those years, they can't find them anymore. Right now, every real estate investor that I come in contact with, there's some that are still doing. If you're doing new construction, you okay. But flippers, I don't see any. I mean, it's just the borrowing cost of money is making it harder for people to flip. And you're gonna have a rude awakening for a lot of real estate investors. Is this even if the interest rates drop? That does not mean that real estate is going to take off. What you're going to have is you're going to have real estate go up, yes, but we're not going to have what we had in 2020, 2021, 2019, which is a seller's market. It's going to be more of a buyer's market, and there's going to be more negotiation, in my opinion. I believe that the buyers who have been waiting, some patiently for the house that they've wanted, and they don't want to overpay. And I believe that you're going to start seeing more concessions, more sellers paying for closing costs, which I feel like I've done in every transaction I've done. And then you start seeing like different stuff that is going to be make it an even playing field for the people that are buying. So it's not going to be flip it. You just buy a house, you flip it sight unseen. People buying cash. Nah, those days are slowing down right now. In fact, a lot of those places, those things don't even exist unless you sold out a company for or business, or you've got a boatload of money. You're paying cash, you're asking for discounts. It's not like before that all cash got the deal. So you have a lot of people like that. You're going to see a lot of people who are using FHA loans, V8 loans. They're going to have more opportunities to buy properties versus just cash buyers, which I would see that all the properties that I was selling in 21, 22, 23, most of the people that were taking FHA loans and VA loans, I wasn't even giving them a second thought. I mean, really, if someone came in cash, all cash, close in like 30 days, sight unseen, no inspection, I'm gonna go with that one. So you had a lot of that happening in the 22, 21, 23 years, but a lot of that is kind of slowed down. So many real estate investors have gotten to realization that now you got to negotiate and you have to build that house on a budget. Many people from the once inflation started going up, a lot of these properties just ran away from a lot of people just from the cost. I know a lot of investors in 2022, 23 that went bankrupt because they had so many properties. They were doing at a time and just the borrowing costs are just ridiculous. So I hope you guys have a phenomenal week in trading. We are looking for those opportunities. And I am so happy that you guys tuned in. If you have any questions, any comments, just leave that on the comment board. And I would love to just talk to you about if you got any stocks that you want to go over. I would love to. So until next time.